thought I'd show you André a little bit so you don't forget his face.
We know what this means.
But he is actually working on our website when he's not eating.
I'm gonna let you film
fruits.
When you finish how I'm doing.
And that's why he's not really appearing so much on videos lately. He's not really making videos.
But I'm still eating bananas.
But he's still eating bananas. This is one of your favorite fruits, I can say.
Without this, my intestine doesn't move.
Anyways, today I really want to talk to you about consciousness, the expansion of consciousness. Because the expansion of consciousness is the first thing that happens when we start to awaken. And without the expansion of consciousness, we are not able to perceive anything from the spiritual advancement of humanity, let's say. And I want actually to kind of translate into human language why it is so important, the expanding of consciousness. This is actually the ultimate purpose of coming to Earth. And as we expand our consciousness, we are shedding layers of ego from our individuality. As we have discussed before, ego is not something bad. We still need the ego to be existent here on Earth. But when it overtakes tremendous, outrageous boundaries, then it kind of restricts our consciousness. We are not able to perceive the spiritual truth. The spiritual truth is different for everyone, but that is not the point of this video today. I wanted to explain to you what happens when you expand your consciousness. I know many of you are into reading spiritual literature and watching people with their teachings and stuff, including me here, but don't take this as a teaching. Take this as just a different perspective, piece of information that you can use yourself for your own spiritual benefit and growth. That is the purpose of everything that we are sharing actually. It is to give you another perspective and to help you expand your consciousness. Only through expansion of the consciousness you will be able to get a different point of view of everything you have been experiencing so far on your spiritual journey. I'm sharing all this information just because when we are reading spiritual literature and listening to people talking about spirituality and especially sharing their own experiences, many times we are actually not able to fully perceive, to grasp what they're talking about. And eventually, when we work on ourselves, comes a moment when we're like, oh, now I fully understand what he or she was talking about. And this happens because before we, when we were actually hearing and reading to this, we didn't expand our consciousness enough to fully perceive this. It is easy for someone who has already expanded their consciousness to see the point of view of someone who hasn't, because they have already been there. But the being who hasn't expanded their consciousness yet, to the extent of the being who has, they will never be able to fully perceive and understand them. And it is okay. All these perspectives we are giving is just to bring the curiosity. And this is the point of this colorful spiritual world out there, which is growing more and more. People are coming with different channelings and different informations, visualizations that they have, including me, for example, when I was sharing my visualization about the event. This is all to break the routine for all of us and to start to be curious. When God separated Himself and created us, it was out of curiosity, because what He's doing, or they they are actually experiencing the world through us. And any kind of piece of information that we gather goes back to source. We are like channels that they are using to find out the different colors and all the aspects of the world, which are endless, of course. So let's imagine the earth. When we haven't expanded our consciousness yet, we are able to see the earth of what is around us. But the more we expand our consciousness, the more we actually approach to the divine, to the source. And the more we start to separate, let's say, from the earth. So we are just going further and further from the earth and closer to the divine. As you know, going further from an object gives you the possibility to see much more perspectives of the same object. If you are next to a car, you're able to see only one side of it. But if you're looking at it from above, you're able to see the car from all around. The only place you will not be able to see perhaps is just underneath. And this is what happens when we expand our consciousness. We start to be able to see more points of view and actually perceive them. Before that, we are able only to kind of understand them, but not fully to perceive them, not fully experience them. When we are going further through the expansion of the consciousness, we are able to fully experience these different types of perspectives, and we are able to tap into any single one of them anytime we wish. Eventually expanding the consciousness broad enough is not going to give us all the perspectives there are out there, because there are as many perspectives as many beings are in the universe, including the high evolved beings. They also have their own perspective, and we are most of the times not able to fully grasp it and perceive it. What they're doing is that they can only appear to us through the channels of other beings like us, so that we are more fully aware of what they're talking about. They are using these souls as type of translators, let's say, because otherwise we will not be able to perceive their truth. They are much closer, let's say, to the divine, and even though they are able to tap to our own consciousness because they have already been there, it is still a little bit more difficult for them to explain to us how exactly they perceive everything around. But when it passes through someone who is just like us, it is much easier for us to understand and to perceive eventually. And how you can achieve this state? The answer is always one. I have shared it many times with you. Keep on digging inside of yourself. What is in there? You are a universe by its own. And the further you go deep inside of you, the further you will be able to tap into the divine, the closer you're going to the divine, and the broader your consciousness is becoming.
Lots of love. Oh my god, this is something. May the love of the high vibration be in
Be in
our
your
hearts.
hearts.